AMC alum, or I guess he might have been an MSA alum, who I got to know as an alum, but then as an author, not just an author, a cartoonist in the New Yorker, the big leagues, as well as an academic, sure, and marketer, sure. So he's written a couple of books that I actually give to a lot of people, including Kvetch's Kvetch Ken, one of his cartoon books, and a really interesting book about Hannah Arendt. But that's for another day. But check it out on Amazon. Ken Krimstein, are you with us? Who are you? Where are you? And can you tell us the Don story?
Hi, Jim. Yeah, I'm in Evanston. Ever hear of it?
The People's Republic.
Yeah, I used to be in New York. And thank you. I must say, I love the way you pronounce the title of that first book, Kvetch as Kvetch. You're the only person who can turn that into a 4-syllable.
I'm Irish. It's like Don. When he got mad and he'd add more syllables? Well, help me out.
So, when Jim reached out to ask me to talk about Don, I was honored. But I had one question. How could I possibly fit everything I had to say into 30 minutes? And then I took another look at the brief, and I saw that Jim said 3 minutes. Count people. Don Schultz was the smartest person I've ever met in my life. All I had to do was talk to him for 20 seconds, and I was 2 years smarter. I'll confess, I did not quite know what I was in for when I walked into Fisk Hall, and Professor Schultz's towering frame leaned into that first class and started speaking in this laconic Oklahoma accent. This completely took me off guard. But 20 seconds later, I began my transformation from a very scruffy Grinnell College history major to whatever I am today. Over the years, Don and I would connect, a meal, a drink, a phone call, and it was always at just the right time. We'd be sparring constantly about the relative merits of creative versus strategy. And now that I know more about that, but seriously, there was so much more that we would talk about, and I can still hear him saying, well, Ken, there's this little thing called brand value. Or he'd say, well, Ken, there's this little thing called the internet. Or he'd say, well, Ken, there's this little thing. And it was always what was going to be the next big thing. And, we'd be in New York or in Hong Kong, where I was working for a while, or in London or in Chicago. And he'd always find time to meet me. And he'd usually be saying something like, oh, I just came from speaking to the board of Omnicom, or I just came from the executives of Publicis, and I told them, ladies and gentlemen, there's this little thing called, so we'd sit there and we'd have a drink and we'd talk. And right now I can say, Don, you win. Strategy is the most creative thing there is in the communication business. I did not know that at the time, but your insight made me the creative director that I became at Ogilvy and in New York and Hong Kong and my own shop, and now as a teacher at DePaul and as an author. As I teach, I try to be 1/10 what you were. So Don, there's a billion things that I learned from you, and sadly a billion more that I won't be able to. Suffice it to say, there's this little thing called my life and your impact on it, and thank you.
Ken, thank you. That's great. You speak for a lot of us. In 2-minute conversation, 2 years smarter.